What is neurodivergence, you ask? I'll answer. Neurodivergent is a term that refers to people whose brain develop differently or works differently, and I'm one of them. I have been diagnosed with ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and ASD, which is autism spectrum disorder. ADHD can cause learning difficulties and it affects behavior and a lot more other things. I don't want to go into this just now. We can do that later if you're interested. While my ASD causes a whole other bunch of symptoms. So my dogs just came here to say hi. Hi, Sarah. I also started recognizing people who live with neurodevelopmental disorders. Obviously, I can't spot everyone. Like some learning difficulties may include dyslexia, which I won't be able to spot just by looking at the person. And I certainly can't diagnose anyone. I can only see that they show characteristics that are similar to mine. But yeah, I discovered that there might be quite a few of us in the space industry and academia, so I got interested and I looked it up. During my research, I came across an article on the Royal Society of Biology's website, which I'm going to link in below so you can check it out for yourself. And that states that according to a recent report, only 15% of the UK population live with neurodiversity. Can you guess how many are studying STEM out of this 15%? STEM refers to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and only 5% of neurodivergent people choose this as a career path. Now, this number is lower than what people usually assume, and it gets even lower once we get to the postgraduate level. There might be a number of reasons for that. Maybe people just stop disclosing their neurodiversity once they get to the postgraduate level, or because of their learning difficulties or other neurodevelopmental disorders, they cannot get to postgraduate level. So I decided to interview a few people who disclose that they're neurodivergent and who are very successful in their careers in STEM. Today's interview is Victoria Valdivia, a fantastic person with an amazing career. Just listen to how she got her first job. That's just one of the most amazing stories. She's very inspirational and very open, and I hope you will enjoy it. Hopefully, these interviews will encourage my fellow neurodivergent people to pursue careers in STEM. And please feel free to ask questions about ASD and ADHD from me, either in the comment section or privately. So today our guest is Victoria Valdivia. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, Vicky. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much. It was great to meet you just recently. We met in Baku. We were at the IAC. How did you find the IAC? Did
Oh,
you
it
like
was
it?
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, a lot. It was amazing because in first time I met you, I share with you wine on that lovely night, but also was an amazing experience to go into the space industry.
Sure. Was this your first IAC?
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
okay. Yeah, but not the last. So next year we
I
meet
hope
in
that.
Milan. No, definitely not.
I hope.
It can't be the last.
Yeah,
We have to
I hope
party.
that. I hope to meet you in Milan again.
Cool. Well, we couldn't party together this time, but next year we will do it. Right. So we will just introduce you to our listeners and viewers. So you are a faculty lecturer and a senior analyst. But before we go
Yes.
into the details, as much as you can tell us about these jobs, can you just tell us how you ended up in space?
It's very funny because, of course, when I was a little child, I dreamed with becoming an astronaut. And I'm from Chile, Latin America, so it's not so popular here to say that you want to become an astronaut when you grow up. But I'm very lucky, so my daddy always encouraged me to go and reach my dreams. So sadly, I was not good enough on math. So I decided not go into a scientific career, and I moved into social sciences, humanities. So I study political science. And when I get graduated from the university, I realized that there is a lot of matching point between the political sciences and the outer space activities. So I decided to go to the next step and got my master degree on international relations. And my thesis was the very first one on Latin America research exploring the connection between space policies and space program development. So I was lucky because it's very important to be the first person doing something. And with my my master degree on my hand, I decided to call to the Chilean Air Force. Really, I'm not joking to call, and to the space squadron, space operation squadron. And I say, hello, I'm Victoria Valdivia, and I want to work with you. I have a very good proposal to you. So please, can we schedule a meeting? I was expecting nothing, it's very, very crazy. But what happened at the end? They listened to me, and
Wow.
actually they contract me. Yeah,
Wow.
was very shocking. Yeah, um, and so I started to working as the space policy advisor for the space operation squadron at the Chilean Air Force. A very, very long name for my position.
Wow.
Was really funny. I was working in a space run station, the only one space run station in my country. And
Wait.
suddenly I
How
realized
old were you? How old were you when this happened?
24.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Okay. Let's go
24.
on.
Yeah, so I realized that I was the first and the unique political scientist in Chile working on space affairs. Was shocking. But I was not the only one who realized it about this. So also doing a general, um, his name was Eduardo Peña. He was the chief of the combat command at the Air Force. So he decided to promote me to the next level. And in 1 year, I become into the space policy advisor for the chief of the general staff at the Air Force, the second man of the Air Force. I
Wow.
was his advisor, directly advisor, with 25 years old. So I was relocated inside the Air Force, and the chief of the general staff decided that I was the accurate person to represent the Air Force on the international level. For example, I started to attend in COPUOS, in UNOSA, space policy and law conferences, and suddenly, I was very famous. I don't know how or why,
Quite
but
right.
I was in the middle of all, being the only women, the only human political scientists, but actually the only women, the only Chilean women on space activities. So I was just like the weird person in the middle of the whole, uh, getting a lot of attention of everyone. After that, someday, Sal picked me and selected me, of course, as mentor for the Space for Women. So was also a new jump into my career because now I was very visible, very famous
Yeah.
for political stakeholders in Chile. Eh, I I I was in the newspaper, One day I was in the newspaper, like the
Wow.
first Chilean young professional is selected as mentor for as a women initiative for the United Nations. I was very shocked. And I started to attend conferences, meetings. I one morning, I remember that day. One morning I was in a program in the morning, a TV show in Argentina, on direct. Like, how could be possible? People in Bolivia, Peru, Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil, Mexico, all Latin America know who I am. And I was like, how I don't have any single idea. Of course, then times go on, and one day I decided to move out from the Air Force after uh, some milestone. For example, I supported the creation of the space direction that is uh, as something like a strategical level of the conduction of space activities inside the Air Force. So also I'm very proud to say that I wrote the space doctrine for the Chilean Air Force. Also, I supported
Nice.
the process of the formulation of defense policies on the space sector. Also, and always on the space activities, no, but also the defense white paper that was very important in the national level. So when I look to my back, I say, okay, guys, we have done a lot of funny things. I flied several times with militaries. It was amazing. I travel around the world. I have got a lot of experience. I have a lot of friends around the world. Thank you to this work. But you know that is enough for me. I may go to the next level and maybe to do something good in other way and on another army forces. So I decided to move into the army. Now currently I am in the army and I become into the senior analyst. I don't know what it is, but I am the senior analyst in the army. That is wonderful. Uh,
Yeah.
this is my first year in the army. So it's something like that. You are always flying in the Air Force, being a girl of the earth and space, and now I am on the women on the ground. It's
Oh, wow.
amazing, very different, but also is it's very exciting for me because I really love to learn new things.
Hmm.
So here in the army, I am like a researcher for the army, or
Hmm.
also in the general staff. And my duties are regarding to conduct researchers on space and defense under the umbrella of space and security studies. And of course, I'm writing a lot about outer space activities and also Antarctic activities. So it's very funny. I have very good colleagues here. I'm not the only one. That is very good for me because
Yeah.
I can see people around me. So funny. And about the how I become into a faculty lecturer, also it's funny, is because I was in some point of my history, I got a really good level of fame. So the National Academy for Political and Strategical Studies of the Ministry of Defense, so sorry for the long names, it's something that happens in Spanish.
It's
But
okay.
yeah, yeah, but this academy offered me to become into the lecturer on counter space analysis. That is
Hmm.
something that I really love, but also about space policies formulation. So I teach about analysis of counter space capabilities on the technical side, but also I teach about how we can take or how we can do the space policies, particularly here on developing regions. So I
Hmm.
have the opportunity to teach to militaries, also civilians. That is the funny fun regarding this academy. So they talented me to exploit all my abilities and also to try to expand my understanding about the military thinking, but also civilian and the cooperation among the both sides in order to reach outer space development.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. So just this part of your life could be a book in itself. Like we had very different journeys into space. Like 3 years ago, I was a beauty therapist.
Oh,
I I wanted to be a singer when I was a little girl, not an astronaut. So very different life. But it's amazing what you just told me. Um, you said your father was very supportive. I bet he was very proud of you when you achieved all these things.
I hope that
Right.
you know
I'm
he
sure.
has passed away. So
Yeah, I'm sorry. But I'm sure he was very proud. Um, he should be. I'm very proud of you and very proud to know you. I'm glad that my colleague introduced us at the IAC. Right. So
yeah.
tell me, how did this all happen? Because your journey up until nowadays is not everyone else's journey, you know? So most people don't have the guts to call the military and say, "Hi, I want to work for you and I have a proposal and I'll be the greatest." So how did you have the courage? How are you different from most people?
It's something like I used to say that is my superpower.
Okay.
I neurodivergent.
All
So
right. Okay.
most yeah.
Interesting.
So I have, some issues trying to fix with with my social environment. I
Yeah.
used to also to overthink it a lot. That is also linked with a condition, but suddenly, my mind can't stop. I just can't stop to think, to planning. I have an issue with planning, strategical thinking, and all. And also that it doesn't help a lot with that. I learned to play chess when I was
Mhm.
4. So my daddy always was playing with me and give me some clues. And for example, when I remember when I was around 6, 7 years old, with that we used to play that I was something like a spy. So he had give me some puzzles to solve, and was
Mm.
always challenging my mind,
Yeah.
challenging to think about to solve problems. So yeah, it don't help out when you need to go and be maybe more social. So, but I decided to use it like a superpower and to exploit it on my benefit. And
Mhm.
for that reason, I learned when I was a little girl that I don't have any kind of limitations. I don't have boundaries. I don't have limits. If I can dream, the next step is just to put the dream on a date and start to plan different goals to reach the final dream.
Mhm.
And for that reason, I never think such like I can't do this, I can't do this one. You know, I remember now being an adult, of course, my first time in Moscow. I don't speak Russian. I
Yeah.
don't read on Russia. It's horrible. For me, it's horrible. And I need to attend a conference in Moscow for the UNOSA, and I was alone,
Mm.
entirely alone. And I couldn't understand what people were saying me, and I don't know why people used to think that I'm from Russia. I'm not. I'm from Chile. I'm Latina. I look like a Latina. Okay,
You do.
trying to
Yes.
convince everyone every time about this. So was very difficult for me to move around Moscow. Very terrifying, I must say, because I'm not good. I'm not so good just speaking with people and talking to people. To ask, I also I don't like to be taught. I don't. I
Yeah.
have some issues with personal, my personal space. So uh, I was like, okay, I'm feeling fear here. I'm not comfortable. I want to go home. I want to run. I want to go away, but I cannot take my flight until 1 week more. So it was what I must do. Well, I must think, I must plan, I must find solutions. And that is what I do. So I said, some people used to think that to have a condition or to be neurodivergent is something bad. It's something that will put you under a lot of boundaries, a lot of limitation all your life. And that is not true. Maybe if I have been different, if I have been, I don't know, neurotypical, currently possibly will be just working for because you need to pay the bill, but not doing something that is very new for my country. My
Mm.
country hasn't a space history. we doesn't count yet with a space agency. We only have one satellite. I mean, we are not a space power, you know. If you open the
Yes.
newspaper, you will not any call to please come and work on a space in Chile. That is will not happen. I'm
No, but
creative, but
yeah.
it's because I have strength, and my strength comes from my superpower that is to be neurodivergent. Neurodivergent. So yes, I'm freaky different from everyone, and I'm so proud about it.
Yeah, I'm proud of it too, and I'm very proud of you. So when it comes to Chile, no, they don't think about space programs, but we think about the night sky. So I'm doing an astronomy course at the university,
Yeah,
and Chile is one of the best places to observe
yeah.
stars. So it would be amazing to visit you one day there, which I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to do that. Um, yeah, so back to neurodivergence. I'm neurodivergent as well, which I think we find each other anyway. So even if they didn't introduce us, we would have found each other, because we're weird. But having said that, a lot of people are neurodivergent within the space community. So I think that that's the perfect community to be in. Um, but my experience was very different from yours. So I didn't know I was neurodivergent for a long time until last year, actually. No, this year. I was diagnosed this year. Um, I always knew I was weird. Everyone always knew I was weird, but they just thought that I was, loony. Um, and I had weird things. They said I was mysterious, and I didn't have any boundaries or limitations either. I don't have a social filter, so I wouldn't be a good politician. Like I say everything, which I shouldn't. Um, but maybe, yeah, with training, obviously, if I was working for the military, I would learn it because I would have to learn it. But that's not my default setting. And so my culture, we had socialism, communism, until I was 4 years old. And the way I grew up was when I said, "Oh, why couldn't I do it? Of course, I'm capable of doing that." And they were like, "No, you're not. Like, why would you be able to do it? You're just a little girl from a little town in Hungary. You're never going to make it." So whenever I had big plans, I was always pushed back, saying that, "No, you can do it. You can do it." And I had to move away from my country, come away from my culture in order to be able to be myself and realize my dreams. And it's going well, but it's a very different path. So I think having supportive parents or friends that are similar to you is very important. And when you say neurodivergence, what conditions are you, well, not conditions, but what are you diagnosed with?
Yeah, it's something like autism, but in low level with
Hmm.
high knowledge capabilities, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know the correct translation into English, but they just that I'm very very smart, but I don't have any
Yes,
filter.
you are.
Yeah, yes, and I have some issues with the sound, with the noise. You
Hmm.
know, noise feel makes me feel pain
Yep.
sometimes,
Yep.
and also with a lot of different stimulus coming all together, strong lights, and sometimes it's not always because of course I can manage it as well. With a lot of people come surround me.
Hmm.
I need to have a space. I need to have a quiet environment. Uh, that you was talking about how important is to have a supportive environment, supportive relative, friends,
Yeah.
parents, etc. Yeah, and I was to tell you my experience during the school.
Mm.
I attended a Catholic school, a girls of ladies school. It was horrible. It was horrible for me. Yeah, and I'll explain you why. Because uh, only girls schools used to be yeah, and used to have a lot of noise. Little girls and teenagers screaming, making no, 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 all the time. Okay, that was all the time for me. But also, uh, the school was not adequate for to have people that is just different. I mean, everyone is different from each other. But on those time, on the 19th, because currently I'm 34, yeah. But on the 19th, here in Chile, was not so cool to talk about autism or
Of
neurodivergence.
course, of course.
Um, was something like a taboo, something secret that is not so cool to recognize. So my school was not with a integration plan on the educational curricula. And for example, when I was around 11, 12 years old, we start to study physics. So I was a little obsessed on those time with invisibility. I I have this idea to make things go invisible, but I have this the following trouble. I say, well, have you seen the wheels when you are going so fast, so fast, so fast? Wheels makes to disappear. I say, well,
Yeah,
is if I take this and accelerate all the particles very, 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 very fast, will be invisible, but will not disappear. And why I was thinking about that? Because I like Harry Potter. So you can remember Harry Potter used to wear an invisibility cloak. So I say, how I can make it possible? Because I was in a Harry Potter club when I was 11. So
yeah,
my idea was to make these inventions and to have and share with the people on the community. So I asked it to my teacher in the school. I said, miss, I have this idea. Can you please explain me how it could works for me? And she said me, no, Victoria, we are not studying the light until the middle of the year. So please focus on the subject that we are studying right now. After that
yeah.
answer, I decided to not pay attention anymore on classes. So you know what I do? I used to paint, oiling painting. Yeah, I used to paint during the classes. And I say, yeah, probably was not the perfect answer, but when you have this kind of answer from your environment, when your teacher are not able to understand that that answer is important for you because you have persistent self. So if you cannot resolve it, it will not disappear. So
Yeah,
you will spend all your night, all your day, all your week trying to find a solution.
yep,
So, if you will not support kids on your school managing problem solving, problem finding answers, of course it will not be a good experience. So, when I was in my last year in the high school, I was with depression. So my parents decided to close early my year because I cannot support because to be different to be inside the neurodivergence, it doesn't mean that you're not have feelings. You have emotion, you can feel, you are living, you have experiences of well. So to manage emotions, your feelings, trying to solve why I'm different, why I am the freaky, why I am the nerd of the group, why I can learn so fast because I have never traveled learning. I learned to play piano when I was 3, violin when I was 10, but on my own. I never get classes of violin, for example. I also used to sing,
mm,
and I have different interests, and but I used to get and to acquire the knowledge very quick. So it makes you different from your colleagues, from your classmates. So was terrible. I can say I was very released when I get graduated from the high school and moving to the university, because on university you are more alone. It doesn't matter if you are the freaky or not, everyone is freaky. But no, it was not the same in the school. So yes, here I used to be the she is alone because she wants to be alone. She doesn't
Mm,
like to talk with people. She used to think that she is best than the others, better than the others because she can learn. She can, and that is not how I am. It's very
mm,
different of who I really am, who I feel, who I I, I used to try to reach people and maybe try to demonstrate to myself that I am someone that enjoy to share, enjoy to talk with the others, to make friends. Um, and for that, I say, yeah, I was very lucky. My parents were supportive. Also, my brothers, there was an amazing experience because my brothers lives in Australia. We are not a common family on Latin America. So, uh, if my family wasn't supportive as was with me, probably I will go into a black hole all the time.
mhm.
Because yes, the society was not prepared enough to incorporate people. I'm not just talking about neurodivergent people. I'm talking about everyone. People on wheelchairs, people that is taller, smaller, lighter, darker. Of everyone is different, but
Yeah.
society wasn't prepared. So, yeah, I feel I I feel really sorry to hear that you must move from your country to be yourself. You know that is something that is not fair. You deserve
No.
to be yourself wherever you are.
Mm,
No matter the country. It's about to have the opportunity to raise you grow up and to be happy.
yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and thank you for saying that. In my country, so Hungary still doesn't deal with mental health. They don't really deal with neurodivergence. They started obviously in the past few years, so they know about it. They're doing research. They're diagnosing kids, but there's something wrong with Hungarian mentality, I think. So if you say that, oh, I'm seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist, you're basically crazy. Like everyone
Yeah,
thinks that you're crazy. You have to go to an asylum, and you know,
in
um,
the same here, in the
yeah.
same way.
And if like I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD as well. Now, ADHD in women are is usually different from ADHD in boys, right? Men. So men are diagnosed as boys because it's very evident because they're hyperactive and they don't pay attention and they lose everything. That's not how it manifests in girls. So girls usually go undiagnosed until they're adults anyway. But in Hungary, if you have ADHD, your parents just say that, oh, you're just lazy. You have to pay attention. Or if not your parents, then
Yeah,
the teacher will say that, oh,
yes.
no, there's nothing wrong with your kid. It's just lazy and forgetful and whatever. And you get all the bad grades and punishments and whatever. Um, and yeah, I'm very similar to you. I don't like to be touched. Only certain people can touch me, the
Yes.
people I feel comfortable with, that's fine. Others shake my hand maximum, but don't come
Yeah.
near me. And then I moved to the UK and everyone's a hugger in the UK. Like they come up to you and they hug you.
Oh
And I'm like, this is the first time I've seen you. Like, no, you can shake my
yeah.
hand and then leave me alone. And everyone's hugging you. And of course, I don't want to be rude, so I hug back, but inside I'm dying. And I didn't know why these things were, or when we would go to concerts, and I'm fine with concerts, you're listening to the music, cool. But when people start talking to you and they have to shout because of the music, like, don't talk to me. There's music. There's either music or talking. I can't do the two together.
They did both at the same time. I used to
So,
feel
yeah,
pain here. Yeah, but it's not in the ear, it's inside. When with
right.
that, with, yeah, it's noise
Yeah, it's
hurts.
weird.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
true.
noise is hard, and school was very hard as well. So I was always among the smart kids, and I won competitions and blah blah blah. And then high school came, and I started only studying the subjects I was interested in. So then what happened was I was extremely good and got merits and distinction and whatever in certain subjects, and certain subjects I barely passed. And that's how it is now, even at university. Like astronomy excites me. I love it. Merit, distinction, whatever. But when I have to do coding, programming, I don't really like it. So I do the bare minimum to pass it because I think it's just a waste of my time and my memory.
Mhm.
So, but then you
I
don't
can
get good
understand.
grades, and then when you want to do a PhD, they're like, "We're confused by your grades." And I think these are some aspects of life why society thinks that neurodivergence is a disability, because we don't function in neurotypical world as neurotypicals. We need accommodations. Like you can see this. This is a
Oh,
chewy.
yeah,
This
yes,
is a
yes, yeah.
yeah. This is a necklace because some neurodivergent people like to chew on things. I don't do that. I've never done that, but I fidget a lot, and it's very easy to. It's like a stress ball, but it's
Yeah,
in your neck, and you can access it anytime. So I have little weird things like this. The problem is I don't think society understands what neurodivergence is. So if you say, "Oh, I'm autistic," they're like, many of my family members, when I told them the diagnosis, they were like, "No, no, you can't be autistic. You're not crazy." I'm like, autism doesn't mean you're crazy. But what they think about is the films that they see. You know that autistic people are nonverbal. They don't speak. They just gaze into the skies, and they're mathematical geniuses, and and that's it. But that's not neurodivergence. And
yes.
I meet a lot of neurodivergent people within the STEM community. So within the science and industry part of space, there are a lot of neurodivergent people, diagnosed or undiagnosed, but there are.
Yes.
And when you're neurodivergent, you know, like
You
even
know,
if you just
yeah.
look at someone and like, oh, okay, I can see what you're doing. You belong to our group.
Yeah, like in Baku.
Oh yes. Oh
Oh,
yes. We we
yeah.
we diagnosed a few people. Definitely. No, like we do weird things with our hands. I don't know if you do this, but a lot of neurodivergent people do this dinosaur
I
hand
know the
thingy.
stereotype movements. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
and also this.
yes, so we when I see people do that, I'm like, "Oh, okay. I know. You're most likely
I
one of
used
us."
to spin around with rings. I use rings because I can. I'm talking. I'm doing this all the time, but
Yeah.
it's something better that I because I can wear rings on the work and nobody will care.
Exactly. So that's it. That's what I'm learning now because I've been masking for 37 years of my life, and it takes so much energy from your system. And then I would just crash. Every month, I had at least 2 days when I would just sit on the sofa and just look at the wall. Like I couldn't do anything, and I didn't know what the problem was. And when I learned about these conditions and I read up on it, and now I started learning studying psychology at the university, so I'm going to learn more about this. But then I realized that if you stop masking, you have more energy for the things you want to have energy for. So I stopped, and people were like, "Oh, you're weird." I'm like, "No, I've always been like this. You just didn't know because I hid it from
That
you." Yeah.
and
So
do you have this kind of burst of energies some night
oh
and you cannot sleep and you need to go to move to in my case is to write to research. I have this passion with research. So yeah, but I explored this night. I mean, I advanced a lot when I have this boost of energy, of course, after the boost of energy, there will be some days that you can't do anything. You're just, I cannot think. I can't put together two different ideas. I can do something. Please just
Yeah.
leave me alone. Have you
Yeah.
experienced the same?
Of course. And I'm a night owl as well. So when I was a kid living at my parents' place still, I would rearrange my room in the middle of the night because I just couldn't sleep. I had all this energy. I was like, I have to do something. So I started cleaning. Then I didn't like the furniture there, so I started moving furniture. And my parents came into the room and they're like, "It's 3 a.m. What the heck are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't like my room." Um, and then yes, it went on to studying. If I was really interested in a subject, physics was always really interesting to me because that was something I couldn't understand like this, whatever was too easy to understand lost my interest very quickly. But physics was always, something intriguing, something new. And then we got to optics, studying
Yeah.
about light, and it was just so amazing. And I would stay up until like 4 a.m. just reading about light and the physics of it. It was amazing. And nowadays, yes, if I'm obsessed with something, I would stay up all night and just start writing lists and journaling about stuff and researching stuff. It's weird, I know. And I sing as well. I play the harp as well. So,
Wow.
yeah, you're interested in a lot of things, and I think that's part of it. As much as I understand about autism, is that it's physical as well as a chemical imbalance in the brain. So our brains is physically bigger.
Yeah.
Our brains are physically bigger um, than neurotypical brains. But that's nothing you can help. So like if you're born without a leg, that's not something you can help. We're born with physically bigger
Yeah.
brains. That doesn't necessarily mean we're smarter, but our brain is physically bigger. And so the neural pathways connecting to each other are different because the brain is different. We have chemical imbalances. When you talk about autism, there's usually a surplus of serotonin, which is
Mm.
important to know because then certain pills like antidepressants that rely on serotonin cannot be prescribed to you because you get serotonin syndrome. With ADHD, you have a dopamine deficiency. Um, so caffeine is important, but it has different effects on your brain. Like if I drink coffee, I go to sleep straight away. Like it doesn't wake me up at all. Like I drink coffee and I go to sleep. Energy drinks, same. So if I drive and I'm tired and someone hands me an energy drink, that's the end of it. I have to lie
Yeah.
down to sleep.
Yeah.
Um, so it's important to know these things. And unfortunately, in the UK, if you go to the doctor and say, "Listen, I need this diagnosis," they're like, "Oh, but you're already 37. You're functioning. Why do you need to know?" Because of these things, because certain things cannot be prescribed to you and certain things should be prescribed to you. And because you
Right.
can learn how to manage your life easier. Yes, I'm functioning even without the diagnosis. But once I know what I have, how I am. Once I understand myself, I can function better. So why don't you want to help me? And it's like this here. When were you diagnosed in Chile? Were you still a kid when they told you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and it's when I was a kid, I was diagnosed. It's funny. With epileptics,
Okay. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I never had. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I was 15, I was diagnosed with this kind of health diseases. I was under pressure and with a certain facility to get under stress and get sick for that.
Mm.
But the accurate diagnosis comes to my life this year.
Yeah.
Recently, this year in
Yeah.
April, a psychology and a psychologist said me, yeah, you. I was like, I know that I have autism. I
Mm.
know. I have some sign, I have some stereotypes. I can identify myself. I said, and she said me, no, you not have some sign. You are under the spectrum. And also you are this. Okay, let's run this test, this the other one, and that. And when I got the diagnosis, I said, yeah, now I can understand everything.
Exactly.
I'm not
Yeah.
a worm in the corner. I
Yeah.
am not something freak to hide. Yeah, and I was like something like to take off a jetpack and feel the release
Hmm.
because I can understand. And I realized that maybe I was in the spectrum because my son of 4 years old was diagnosed last year.
Hmm.
He also has autism and high knowledge capabilities. Uh, so when I started this way with Ignacio, trying to learn more, trying to experiment, trying to solve to manage all my question, I realized I say, oh, he's like me.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing bad will be happen with his life. I mean, I got married in some time of my life. I have kids. I'm working. Nothing bad coming to my life. So I say, well, he's like me. So if he's like me, yeah, probably I have autism too. So I need to go to the psychology. And yeah, the bad point in this is that during several years, I mean during my teenage year, my childhood, I was bad diagnosis, not under diagnosis. I all have some different diagnosis, but
Yeah.
was not accurate. So it's very dangerous because it wasn't my case, but in other case you can be you have some prescriptions, some drugs prescription particularly that are not accurate for your condition, so
Mhm.
will not help you.
Yeah. No, it's very typical. Like they misdiagnose, for example, ADHD and say that it's depression or whatever because you have ADHD paralysis and you can't do a lot of things. This can happen with autism as well. You can have burnout, and they just misdiagnose it as clinical depression or whatever. But that's not it.
It's not.
I don't think a lot of diagnosticians are trained properly because these things were originally only diagnosed in boys. And
Yes.
women have very different manifestations of the same things. And they only recently, like in the past 20 years, they only recently started researching women because it only happened
Yeah.
in boys, but that wasn't possible. Um, One other thing I wanted to say is you said sensory issues, so noises and stuff like that. I have a problem with wooden cutlery, when because we're all, sustainability and being green and whatever. And yeah, I agree, we should do that. But when you travel, and we travel a lot for conferences, and you eat on the airplane, and they give you this wooden cutlery to eat with, I could jump out of the plane. I can't do it. So I have to
I
carry
don't eat.
a reusable plastic thing with me, and
Yes.
everyone's laughing at me. And if I don't have it, I just can't eat. I can't touch it. I can't put it in my mouth. It's horrible. And it's
Yes.
funny how we already know the diagnosis basically before we go to the doctor. You said that, and this happened to me as well because I had friends. All of my friends were either neurodivergent or just got diagnosed neurodivergent, and I didn't understand. Like, I'm the same as you. How are you neurodivergent? And then I started researching it. I'm like, oh my god, this is me. And so I went to the appointment, and the woman was like, she was a clinical psychologist, and she was like, so why do you think you have autism? And I kid you not, I gave her a 38-minute presentation of why I thought I had autism. So for 38 minutes, I was just, gathering evidence that, listen, this is why, this is why, this. And then, of course, we went through the whole diagnostic process. But then she called me and she was laughing. She was like, well, you know what the diagnosis is, but here it is. It's official now. It was
Yeah.
just so funny. I think she decided like within that first 38 minutes, she already knew that okay, this is definitely yeah. And how do you
Uh,
think that
but
neurodivergence is especially beneficial in STEM, in space or STEM
no,
areas?
because on STEM we are majority in first term. So
Definitely, definitely.
yeah, that is true. Also, neurodivergence is without joking is important on STEM because our capabilities make us the fit and accurate person to run a very big jump under the development on technology, but also on thought behind the technologies.
Mhm.
If you can see, I don't have here my charts, but I have a chart about this. Yeah, that's not joking.
I'm not
You,
surprised. I have lists of
yeah,
everything.
there are some evolution waves on technologies that is called
Okay.
Kondratiev cycle. Yeah. If you pay attention, all the Kondratiev waves start with someone neurodivergent making research. So why is that? Because we have the capability to think without the boundaries. You know, we have arborescent thoughts and it's not lateral thought because lateral is something that you can train. It's divergent thoughts. So these capabilities make us able to think out of the box and to make innovations. So innovation is the basis of the STEM. But we are not also mathematical genius. We are also artistic genius, musicians. I mean, interdisciplinaries. So with a community that is neurodivergent, but it's also interdisciplinary, of course you can reach the moon. And the issue that the important issue here is that to be neurodivergent make you capable to understand neurotypicals.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
you are more open to share with people that is different to you,
Yes.
no matter you are majority on a space, because you know how it feels to be the different, to be, as I said,
Yes.
the worm on the scar in the scar here, the being the weird, the nerd. So we are open to share with the difference, with the other that are different with neurotypical in this case, and we have the key of the innovation because we can create, we can innovate, and we can leader project. We have so many abilities, so we can spread the voice. And for that reason, I think that the future will be on space because if you pay attention in different STEM communities, I will measure some ones: space, cyber, artificial intelligence. Different communities are very different among them. But on space, you have the most uh, the majority of neurodivergent people. So for that reason, a space community is also with bigger numbers on public papers on ongoing researches. We are an open community, and that is the motive behind the spin-off of the outer space innovation technologies and also presence on public media. And I think that finally, to understand neurodivergence is very important to understand because people that feels naturally attract to STEM belongs to the
Mhm.
spectrum.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
it's to make
That's
sense, you
that's a new
know.
diagnostic criterion there. Yeah. So
No,
you
no,
mentioned
no. I challenge you. Please find me just 10 kids, 10, no more, neurotypical kids that are volunteers on, for example, a robotic team on a school.
mhm,
Just try to find 10. Neurotypical are not willing to go into this because they prefer to play on groups. For example,
mhm,
soccer.
mhm.
It's not the same.
Okay.
It's a difference about the there is a difference on preferences on on tests that hold the kids. So yeah, STEM is the natural preference of neurodivergent people, and that is why we are together when we are trying to find work and to get payment to think, well, we are together
Yeah.
because all of us used to be the nerd kids on the astronomy, robotics, or rockery
Mm,
activities on the school.
yeah. And I don't know how you are with this, but I don't even understand neurotypicals. Like, I don't understand a lot of things neurotypicals say or do. I take almost everything literally.
Yes.
I don't understand jokes, not because I'm stupid, because my mind works in a different way. Like, I imagine what they're saying literally, and then just miss the point of the joke. And you mentioned thinking outside of the box. Like, I didn't even know there was a box. So
Yeah, that is true.
when they first told me this, that you have to think outside of the box, I'm like, is there a box? I wasn't aware that there
It's
was a box.
lineal though. That is point. It's lineal, so they are very literal, going to the point A to the point C directly.
Yeah.
And for that reason, they used to repeat all the time the same processes, no matter the results. That is something unacceptable for me. And also, I got into a lot of troubles here just to say that things like that. For example, if you are planning to do, I will put an example. If you want to have for very first time a space program on Chile, you can do exactly the same that in the 80s because on those time it doesn't work. So if you repeat the same process, try to guess, you will have the same results.
Yeah, exactly.
And people used to get mad for that. So I'm not trying to tell them you are stupid. Of course not.
No.
I'm trying to be very respectful for everyone. But yes, it's not logical, not in the in this way of to be literally logical. It's not something that make me sense.
Hmm.
And yeah, I used to think that I am out the box. I don't know the box
Yeah,
as you. I
exactly.
don't know where is the box, what is about the no. But the only thing that I know that I am out of box. So also you. And for
Yeah.
that reason, have innovative solution for common problems.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, if we look at history, and even nowadays, who is neurodivergent, who's autistic, who has ADHD, like all of the, not all of them, but most of the people that we consider to be geniuses were neurodivergent or are neurodivergent to this day. So, and I think part of why neurodivergent people are very suitable for STEM careers is because we have very good pattern recognition skills. So we recognize a lot of things that neurotypicals don't. And of course, neurotypicals recognize things that we don't.
Yes.
But I mean, it's just a different way of thinking. And if we work together, we can achieve amazing things. But look at Elon Musk. You can
Yeah.
think whatever you want of Elon Musk as a person. We don't care about that. Um, but we care about what he's achieved and the technological achievements and his ideas. And he definitely didn't know there was a box. He said nothing is impossible, and we're gonna do this because we have to do this, and he did it. And he's neurodivergent.
Yeah.
That's just one example, but there are a lot more. Um, okay, so I would love to work with you on this in the future, as we discussed that we're most likely going to have a little project together,
Yeah.
which we will inform the audience about in due
Will
course
be amazing.
once we know more.
I want to share with you a phrase that my dad told me once week before his death, and it's a very strong message. You know, maybe it's not for me, but will be helpful for you for your audience. There is nothing impossible. If you can dream, you can reach it. The only thing that you will need is a good plan. So with that words, I want to encourage to your audience to keep moving forward. Nothing good happens when you're only stay sit at your house crying and wondering and asking to the sky, why me? The question is, why not you?
Exactly.
So you can do
I agree
everything.
with that. Yeah, that's an amazing message. This is what I usually something similar that I say to myself that it's not impossible. If it has to be done, it has to be done, and it will be done. There's
Uh,
no question. And that's what's amazing about space because it challenges us. It gives us new challenges that we have to overcome, and we do it. And previously, we thought that this was impossible, but then, you know,
there was
we do
not
it.
any good reason, Vicky, that I love to say a girl, but I'm not a girl anymore. But there is not any good reason for that a woman from Chile travels to Baku to talk about the space policies and to meet other Victoria in a
Yes.
cocktail, trying to understand. Oh my God, what I'm doing here. Because I don't have any single plan for that night. And suddenly say, "Oh, we have the same name. Yeah, I'm neurodivergent. Me too, me too."
Me too.
There was not any good reason for this kind of random thing happening.
Yeah.
So I prefer not to ask. I prefer to act.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Cool. Let's make the world a better place together.
Yeah,
Thank you
we
very
did.
much for answering my questions today. And we wish you all the best. Well, I wish you all the best. And of course, my audience as well, for sure. And I'm very proud of you again. And I'm dying to meet you soon. So we will arrange that.
I hope to see you soon. I hope to see you next year here for a scar.
Yes.
So have a lovely, lovely night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.